Mr. Sajidi, we had a discussion recently, which we can call part one, now part two, on the point of radicalization in the West, which is being done by the Islamic regime in Iran in the category of hybrid warfare.
Yes.
So last time we focused on organized migration and how they influence people via mosques, centers, and social media. Now we would like to look at certain events, violent events in Europe, which could be part of hybrid warfare of Islamic Republic as well. Which facts can you present on this topic?
When you see, you can see that some unrest on the target societies, I mean, Western societies. Always we can see in the propaganda apparatus of the regime that the democracy is in chaos and democracy is not good for the humanity, because you know that the structure, the governance structure in Iran is not based on the citizenship and citizen government relationship, but based on subject caliph relationship. And in this form of the governance, the citizens, they are not considered as the citizens, they are considered as subjects. And for this kind of governance, the most dangerous thing is democracy. If the subjects they require their rights as a human, then the life of this structure, the life of this type of governance is finished. That's why the regime is always against the democracy and always tries to propagate that the democracy is not good for the civilization, and the civilized the Western civilization is going to be in chaos, in turmoil eventually. We can see the same concepts also in the works of the Alexander Dugin, and also he believes that democracy is not good and liberalism, he is against the liberalism. Too much debate from him is published, and these two point of views are aligned with each other. What we see now in the Western societies, that as if their prediction is realized, but I think that they make it manipulated. They are going to manipulate to the societies in neglectance of the politicians, and of course there are too many people that they can understand, and they they talk about that, but unfortunately there is less ears to listen.
Let me just ask you a little bit. We have this philosopher, Sir Karl Popper. He was talking about open society and the limits of open society, about tolerance and about the limits of tolerance. Is this related to this fact that Western politicians, they favor open societies, but they do not put any limits? So they have too much tolerance, and this tolerance is being misused by, for example, the regime in Iran, or maybe by cronies of Alexander Dugin from Russia.
Yes, but I think that you have right partially, because maybe the Western politicians, they are going to test the maximum extensions of the tolerance and democracy. I said, explained last time about the case of the burning of the US flag, and according to the comment of the Supreme Court in 1989, burning the flag can be considered as an freedom of speech and should not be yes, but we have to note another fact, that the changing of the society, the changing of the situation. Yes, the situation is changed. 1989 is not as to now. Now we can see that there is two big problems that the national government cannot deal with alone. For example, pollution, yeah, or migration, or economic crisis, or too much problems that the national governments, they cannot deal with alone, and they need to make a collective decision. I think by myself, and I have always thought that maybe the nation-state life will be finished, and we need maybe in future, not near future, but an form of global governance with the same values, because now we are in chaos. With no doubt, we are in chaos. But when I cannot say when, but now we see that we are in erosion. We observe and some erosion of the nation state, because, for example, by the establishing of the by the European Union, yes, the national level has delivered some authorities and options to supranational level, and much problem is solved. You can remember that, for example, there was too much problem for the separatists in Basque, terrorist actions in Italy, even in Germany, but these problems are solved, and now we have a sort of stability in Europe. For example, our last session was about the migration. You know that in Europe, the borders are removed, and problem is almost solved. We had also big problems, if you remember, in for example, too many people, they came from Poland, from Yugoslavia to Germany, and this was always problem. But now this problem is almost solved. So I think that the politicians, they have to think about this, to protecting the democracy and humanism value. The kind of the governance should be changed gradually, of course, not direct. Of course, we can see some resistance from the national levels, from the nationalists, and they are right. But we have also see to the realities and what come to us. Too much things that they cannot be handled at the national level, and we need a supranational level to handle it. One of them is how we can have an united response against the threats from Iran and Russia and China and North Korea, because they are not threatening our countries. I mean that European or here, they are threatening. They are threatening the humanity values. They say that okay, human should be deal with in another type, and not in the democratic way. Not in the, for example, they are against the liberalism. They are against free market. They are against freedom of speech. In Russia, you can say. And now the important point and dangerous phase is that they are now they are theorizing. They are going to make it documented. They are they are going to make it philosophy for this kind of thinking. Yeah, it's very dangerous. Yes, Mr. Popper has explained about the open societies and its enemies, and what the situation then was about the Nazi Germany. I think that so we cannot see the philosophy. Yes, philosophies usually should be abstract, but anyhow, we can always see to the time and place situation, and then we can make and judge. I think that the idea of Karl Popper cannot be valid today.
Well, you know that he gave warnings about the threats for open society. That was his main point.
Yes.
So,
Anyhow, I mean that the idea of then is not cannot be more valid. Yes, because you know that the Karl Popper examines the situation which Nazi party came to the power, and this party used like the capability and capacities of the democracy, and this is like that the enemies of the society, the open society, use the same capabilities and capacities to get the power, and then they fight with the same values. That's very correct. But anyhow, my meaning is that we have to think about a new solution for the problems, because the problems are new. But yes, you are right. We can see that the prediction of the Karl Popper is realizing once again, and dispatched agents of the Islamic regime try to take the power using the capacities and capabilities of the democratic societies.
So we started with me asking you for some facts, how this destruction of Western society is being pushed by the regime in Iran. Can we have another look onto this aspect?
Yes, I give you an example. For example, we see that after speech of Mr. Netanyahu in joint session of Congress and Senate, alleged Hezbollah, I think Hezbollah, because it's proven that shoot rocket to an playing field of the children. And I think that 10 children or 11 children, 12, yeah, unfortunately, 12 children were killed and more 40 are injured. You know that for humanism and for the human-based societies, the children are the red line. So there is nothing to, we have to do everything to protecting our children. And they know that the children is our weak point. At the same time, there is another accident in North England. You know, have you ever heard about that? There also,
yes.
3 children at the same age were killed in a furious knife attack. The police doesn't release the identity of the attacker. We know that who was he.
It is released. It is released by now. Yes, yes.
The identity is not released yet. I think that just he's from Rwanda parents. I think yes.
Yes, that's what they released. Yes.
Okay, but if the Islamic motivation is involved or not, we don't say.
We don't know for sure. Yes.
Yes. At the same time, the third incident was in Luxembourg. So, a group of the Belgian children at the same age, I mean, between 8 and 10 o'clock, between 8 and 10-year-old, they were attacked when they were sleeping in their tents by a group. The attacker are arrested by the Luxembourg police, but still there is no information about, because they are under interrogation. But I think that the coincidence of these events cannot be accidental. So, or maybe is accidental. But from all of these three, we can see one goal, we can see one result, and unrest. Social unrest. Have you followed the social unrest in Britain? That
Yes.
now the society is totally polarized. I have already talked about the polarization of the society. If you remember a few sessions, that one of the goals of radicalization and hybrid warfare is polarization of the society.
Yes.
Now the society of Britain is polarized, and the sources and the money and all of the possibilities of the society should be deal with this unrest. In this case, they cannot make a good decision. They cannot make a correct decision, and they can be on the favor of the people who are in Tehran and Qom. They enjoy this situation.
Yes.
This and turmoil. This their eventually goal of this. Maybe I cannot prove that each of this incident in detail was conducted by the Iran affiliated elements, but if through an analysis of the result, we can see that the results is in the favor of the Iranian regime, and they can achieve and big turmoil in Western societies.
Okay. So now, to put part one and part two together, we have this organized migration, we have these propaganda and brainwashing aspects done by protagonists who are nested in the Islamic centers, Imam Ali mosques, as you named them, throughout Europe. And now we have these actions which cause turmoil in Western societies, which cause polarization, which might be one of the goals of hybrid warfare of Iran regime in Iran, in order to destabilize democracy, as they hate democracy and would like to establish a caliphate structure.
Yes.
Do you have any advices to Western politicians concerning their open society?
They have to deal with this phenomena very cautious, and they have to go very deeply, and they have to have a good study about the history and the historical background of these events, because when the Ottoman Empire was collapsed, the lands and the country, then they were no country. They were
the
just
regions. The
regions, yes, the regions were released. They were for 2 decades under control of France and England, and at the assignment of the League of Nations then. But they are not familiar with the basis of the nation state. I mean that they have no idea about what is the nation state and what should do nation state. For example, I give you an example about the Lebanon. Yeah, no, the Lebanon is more than 20 years, 40 years involved with war. Yes, internal war, domestic war. But from other side, a big group like Hezbollah, who is strong among the Shiites there, they attack always to the Israel. I don't argue about their goals or if they are justified or not, but in a system based off the nation state, usually a nation state should respect the conditions of the neighborhood and should not let that any other group, right or not right, attack to another country. So, but you know that the Lebanon government and the people of the Lebanon usually, I think, not all of them, of course, they cannot take their responsibilities and duties against their commitments to others. So, I think that is the same for the other countries also. And another example, we know that on 7 October was very terrible events was occurred that we cannot repeat it. It's very, very, very bad things. You know that about. Till now, I haven't heard that even one Palestinian has condemned this. Yes, the Palestinians, of course, within the Gaza are under control of Hamas, no doubt about that. But the Palestinian outside the Gaza, they have made too much demonstration against Israel, against the US. They have also put the flag of the US in the fire. They burned it, but for one time, even for one time, I haven't heard that the Palestinians make a demonstration against the Hamas. But we know that the Hamas is a terrorist group, with no doubt. He confessed that he is a terrorist because he says that we will remove Israel in all ways possible. And we know that the Hamas is born from the body death of Ikhwan al-Muslimin, Egyptian Ikhwan al-Muslimin. In this sense, Hamas is not also Palestinian. Hamas is from Egypt. But the problem is that there is no national distinctions between the Arab nations. So who is Egyptian and who is Palestinian? How we can recognize that they are two peoples? So I mean that because they have not exercised the and they have not passed the different phases of becoming nation and nation status. They are not familiar with the national requirements, and they are familiar with more with caliphate system, because these nations or these people are directly came out from the dominancy of the Ottoman Empire and caliphate to their nation, to their nation status, without passing this process. And so they are not really a nation, and they have no idea that what nation is. Now they are trying to do apply this idea also here in Europe and in the United States. They think that in an unfair war, the Islam is defeated because they consider Islam equal to Ottoman Empire, or they consider Ottoman Empire equal to Islam. And now the here-born generation also, they thought that they think that okay, the Ottoman Empire was defeated by the colonial powers, and we have to once again to re-exist it. We have to make it once again a revival. We have to try for revival of it. And this sense and this not worked heritage is misused by the Iranian regime, because they are completely aware about that. You know that Khamenei was a friend and also a student of the Qutb, one of the founders of the Ikhwan al-Muslimin. So we can, and Ikhwan al-Muslimin really was not for Islam then. He was an organization fought for the Ottoman troop and fought for the Germany, and not real for the Islam. Yeah, and for example, Zadin Qassam, now we have an divisions in Palestinian on his name. He was an Ottoman officer. He was not really an patriot or imam and somebody who fought for the liberty. He was an Ottoman officer fighting with the France and British. I think that these issues should be investigated. And another point that is very important, that the package of the education in the Middle East countries should be controlled by the UNESCO. They have to see that what they are what they are going to teach to their children, and they make from the children hateful people that they want to make revenge, to make the revenge of the past from the new generation in Europe. There is too much to say, but I think that our time is is limited.
Yes, it is true. So, to cut a long story short, in 2 sentences, what is your message besides telling that they should take care of about history? So politicians should take care about history, should inform themselves about details of history. What would your message be concerning hybrid warfare by the regime in Iran?
I hope that my advice not be interpreted as an impolite, but I follow what Mr. Netanyahu said, that not be fully too much, and be more smart about the policies of Iran.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sajedi.
You're welcome.
Our next series will focus on Alexander Dugin's policies
Yes.
and ideas. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Merci.